Joining me now, Newsmax foreign policy analyst and author of Iran, an Imperialist Republic and U.S. Policy, Dr. Walid Phares, and national security analyst and author of Rise, Brigitte Gabriel. Thank you both so much for joining me this evening. You know, we've watched the protests grow day by day, and the death toll is on the rise. Now, we've heard estimates from 2,500 to over 12,000 have been killed. Even CBS reporting over 12,000 feared dead. The president's telling the protesters, take your buildings and write down the names of your abusers. Walid, what should help is on the way look like?
Well, what is very important is the last sentence you just now defined the numbers. 2,500 are the numbers of those who have been seen on videos by the international community. The NGOs on the ground are talking about 12,500, maybe 14,000. We don't know. That is the dividing line. Before that, there could be any arrangement with the regime, any negotiation. After that, the regime is now accused and is responsible for the killing of tens of thousands of people. So I don't know if there is anything we can do with the regime, but what I know is that the president said justice will come. The president said help is on its way. And the Iranian population on the ground are asking now directly President Trump to help them. How would that be? There are a variety of scenarios, obviously prepared by the National Security Council and other agencies. But it seems to us, those who are focusing on this, that there are two entities. Those two entities are responsible for that, and they are the entities of the regime. One is the Basij militia, I call it the lower SS, and the other one is the IRGC. If there is anything that could be done, it will be against those two agencies. And if they are dismantled from strikes from the air, the regime won't last, a week or two.
Well, it sounds like hopefully President Trump knows that. He's probably looking at all angles and avenues to maybe get that done. Brigitte, today President Trump was asked about Iran's threat of retaliation, but he didn't seem too concerned. Watch.
That it will retaliate in the instance of U.S. strikes against U.S. assets in the Middle East. What do you say to U.S. service members about why it is worth the risk to intervene in Iran?
Yeah, Iran said that the last time I blew them up with the nuclear capability, which they don't have any longer. So Iran said that the last time. They better behave.
Well, he tells Iran to behave while they're airing assassination threats on TV, saying this time this bullet won't miss. Brigitte, what are your thoughts? Do you think Iran is, again, they're putting out potential assassination threats against President Trump, saying, hey, we'll attack U.S. bases and Israel? What should the president be concerned, or it seems like he's just kind of blowing it off there?
Well, they've been saying this since 2016. Nothing has changed. This is the same old rhetoric. President Trump knows it. The world community knows it. Our intelligence agency know it. Now, they would love to be able to take out President Trump. Thankfully, he is protected by God, and they're not going to be able to do anything to him. But having said that, there are security measures in place to protect the president. We know that Iran, as well as China, as well as major actors, would love to take out the president. So our country is prepared for that. The Iranians, on the other hand, are puffing and huffing to save their image on the world stage. They cannot go down failing as a failure. They're going to go down fighting. And I don't believe even Khomeini is going to give up, the Ayatollah is going to give up his life. He's going to die as a martyr. He's not going to vacate the country. He's not going to another place. Maybe his family members would, like his son, who just moved in the last 2 days, $1.5 billion to an escrow account in Dubai. So they know the end is coming, and they know that the United States will take some type of action. It's not going to be an all-out war. We're not going to go in with our troops on the ground. We have our agents operating, and they will be able to take strategic action like what Walid referred to, by taking out the leadership, so the Iranian people will be able to reclaim their country and reclaim their victory, and the victory will be theirs without truly America or Israel taking anything away from that victory out to them.
Well, that's exactly what I hope happens, and I think there's millions of Americans around the country that are hoping that's exactly what happens as well. We would love to see Iran freed. Walid, let's talk about Greenland for a second. The foreign ministers of Greenland and Denmark met with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio at the White House today, but perspectives continue to differ, according to the Danish minister. President Trump believes the U.S. needs Greenland for national security purposes, and if the U.S. doesn't take charge, Russia or China will, adding that anything less of a complete command is unacceptable. What are your thoughts?
Well, President Trump is very frank. He told the Danes, he told the Europeans that there is a threat against Greenland, and that's a national security threat for the United States. And he proposed many scenarios. If they refuse all the scenarios, he thinks, for example, that he will seize that territory, and then there will be financial arrangements with Denmark and with the European Union. But it looks like Secretary Marco Rubio is preparing an offer, and that offer could be purchase, could be also lease, and that could resolve a lot of that problem. We don't want problems within the West when we have all the threats coming from Russia and China, and we are engaged in the Middle East at the same time. This could be resolved at one point.
Yeah, we hope that it is. And the audience just got to see that amazing showcase of exactly where Greenland lies between U.S., China, Russia, and how important I think that positioning is for the United States. You know, buying Greenland, it could cost $700 billion, but Greenland insists that it's not for sale. And according to a Reuters Ipsos poll, just 17% of Americans approve of President Trump's efforts to acquire Greenland. Brigitte, should Trump back off or stay aggressive on his plan for Greenland?
He will stay aggressive on his plan for Greenland, and he will probably get Greenland at the end of the day, because Greenland is a strategic location for the defense of the United States and the Western Hemisphere and the Arctic Circle. Remember, Russia is right across from Greenland. When you look at the Russian submarine, the Russian Alcatraz, basically, of military, it's facing directly towards Greenland. We already know that there are Chinese ships, Russian ships, right across from Greenland, and President Trump is correct. If we do not take it, they will take it. And the reason why we want to take it, it's not because of the resources in Greenland, but for the military defense of our countries and the stability of the world. NATO without America is nothing. NATO cannot defend itself. NATO does not stand without the United States. China and Russia do not fear NATO. They could care less about what the European leaders are saying, you know, Britain and France, etc. They have no power without the United States. But they do fear, China and Russia do fear the United States. And that's why we want to be able to take Greenland so we can defend it when the Russian and the Chinese try to acquire it, because they will get it if we do not step in and take it from them, or take it first.
Yeah, I believe that's exactly what President Trump is thinking as well, and why it is strategically necessary to, as he said, have complete command of Greenland. You know, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says that utilizing the U.S. military is always an option, and you have European leaders threatening to seize all U.S. bases in Europe if the U.S. invades Greenland. The Danish Prime Minister saying that this could be the end of NATO. And Denmark says its troops would immediately open fire if Greenland were invaded, even without waiting for orders. Waleed, what's your reaction to that? Should President Trump be concerned about these European countries saying that they're going to attack our bases?
The way I know President Trump from a while ago now, he's astute. He's a strategic real estate visionary. He knows that he demands the maximum, but he knows that there is a margin of maneuver to negotiate any other solution. What he really wants is a U.S. military defense presence across the island. If he can buy it, he would, $100 billion, that's 1/10 of what Qatar or UAE have going to be investing here, 1.2 trillion or 1.4 trillion. So it is feasible. It is 2/3 of the Iran deal. So the money that we're talking about is not something that doesn't exist in international relations. My projection is that President Trump is negotiating well, and he will get what he wants.
Yeah, I think you will too. Final thoughts to you, Brigitte, about 20 seconds for you. You think President Trump's going to get Greenland?
The European countries are just positioning for the best price. That's exactly where they are throwing up the position that they have now, hoping to negotiate and get the best deal financially that President Trump can offer them. We're going to end up with Greenland.
That makes sense to me, and I hope that we do as well. Dr. Waleed Phares and Brigitte Gabriel, God bless you both. Thank you for joining the Pulse tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.